Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the video. And this is a paid request for Baja Vtuber. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, whether it be a topic, reaction, commentary, review, re-review, thought streams, commentaries, video game playthroughs, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And for those who sent them, thank you. I do appreciate it. Now, he wanted me to look into... Now, I reviewed this film long time ago, but he's like, yeah, feel free to re-review it. It is of the 2011 film, The Tunnel. I have to remember, if I put over here, that there's a poster over here blocking it. Now, this is the release from Umbrella Entertainment. It was also released, I think Vinegar Syndrome has this in the US. But I think it's the same copy where it has the features, including commentary, has a documentary, The Other Side of Darkness, TV Crew Boot Camp, music videos, Meet the Cast, alternate. Ending wasn't really much. Q&A. But yeah, it has a good lengthy documentary. That's the other bit to make it look like evidence. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this movie. And funny enough, on the documentary, they talk about like people who talked about the film, the fans. And I briefly appear. Like a good 5 seconds, I appear in it. In my old review, which is still up. Because I said I was like pleasantly surprised by it. I like it more than The Devil Inside and some of these other found footage. So I'm like, wow, I didn't know I'd make a little appearance, and that was cool. It was in my old room with like the Cobra and stuff posters. But yeah, revisiting this again, I still quite enjoy this film. I think this film is a gem in the found footage mockumentary category. The way this was made was interesting. It was, in a way, crowdfunded, where they pre-sold the individual digital frames. For this much, you get a digital frame, and I think it's like the 135K program, which I know they talked a bit about that in the documentary. But when it was finished, this was released online for free. Like, you could legally get it from BitTorrent and other places. They release it for free. Now, obviously, with physical release, because of printed the disc and stuff, you know, you pay for it. But you can legally watch this for free. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if someone uploaded on YouTube or something, for those interested. Now, I can't remember how I first heard about the film. I think I had seen another film, like a horror film, like The Descendants or something. And maybe like I was looking into found footage. I don't know how I first heard about it. But I remember I watched it and was pleasantly surprised. And showed it to my friend Effrey, I know Mike, OCP. They saw it, they liked the film. I think Michael Teen, my friend, the Choice Voice, he saw it. He wasn't big on it. But this is one of those films where it's a simple idea. And I'm sure people watch it, they go, well, what's the big deal? It seems like your typical thing. People go into a place they don't belong. There's something there in this term. I mean, I don't know if I call it a creature or what it is. And, you know, there's yelling, there's screaming, there's shaking of the camera. So what's the big deal with this one? Well, first off, I thought the way they filmed it was especially more unique at 2011, where it's not just straight footage. They did it like it was an edited documentary. Like it was a program you were watching on true crime, you know, crime TV type of stuff. So it's people being interviewed who survived the ordeal, and then we see the footage, and it'll cut to two or so people giving their thoughts on what's going on, what they were thinking at the time, what was happening at the time. And there's a catch-22 with that. On the one end, you know who survives. So there's not much suspense. But, considering most of these movies, hell, they're like, everybody dies at the end. Like 9 out of 10 times in these movies. Is it really going through your head of, oh, I wonder who's going to survive? Well, again, if it's like the 9 of the 10 other movies, nobody. I think what it benefited was making me understand the characters a bit more, learn about their motivations, their thought process, what is going through their heads, a little bit of maybe their psychology, what's going on with them. Even grow to like him. Like the guy who's Steve, the cameraman, I really grew to like him. He's easily my favorite character in the movie, which I believe he was a real life news cameraman. So he definitely knew his stuff. The show, like, this is what you do and don't do. I think he was the leader of the TV crew boot camp because he's been a part of it and goes, well, this is what you do and you don't do this. You do. That's why it does make it seem a bit more official looking. Does he have a guy who worked the news that, well, this is how you actually do reporting and stuff. But it also just made it a different framework. Not granted, there's other films that have done that too. I would say perhaps like Mungo, which I like. And there's other ones too that are like fake, not even horror films. Like Savage Land is one of them. And okay, Baja Vtuber, I know you really like this. I don't know if he would like these two, but I would recommend these two. I'm looking at them right now. You may not like these, but check out Savage Land and Butterfly Kisses. If you haven't seen either of these two, I mean, you may not like them, but I liked them a lot, and you might like them as well. So, but yeah, those. When you have so many of these type of films, when they try to do stuff at least a little bit different, unique, I can appreciate it a lot. And also, I think what it accomplishes in this, it does it very well. The acting, I think, is very solid. I think it's one of the better acted in these type of movies. Whether it be Bel Deliá or Steve Davis or the others. I mean, I think the cast does a really good job. They have a really cool, creepy setting, which is the abandoned train tunnels, in this case in Sydney. It's an Australian film. You have a guy that has worked in news crews, so he knows how to film, so you get some really good-looking shots. There's music, which makes sense here, since it's supposed to be like a program, so they would add music and stuff, like a lot of those true crime TV stuff would do. And the music is fairly well done. And I just thought the whole was fairly well put together by Carlo Ledesma, which I don't know if the guy even did anything else. I know at one point there's supposed to be a sequel to this. Never came about, I guess. They couldn't get the funding, or there wasn't enough interest, or what the case was, but because the story of the film is there's this recycling water program because there's a water problem in Australia, in Sydney, and the government officials are thinking of using these underground reservoirs. How there's these massive underground tunnels and underground water, and we could maybe recycle water from there. And then there's talk of, well, there's homeless people in there, and we gotta move them out. They lived in these places that were air raid shelters. But then there's some screwy things going on where the program just stops and no one talks about it. They're not trying to do it anymore. And it's like, well, why? So you have Bel Deliá as Natasha, or Nat for short. She needs a story, otherwise she's going to get fired, and she is really curious about what's going on. There's a story here. She saw like a little YouTube video where people were in the tunnels and one of them like disappeared. And ultimately she's able to get these other people with some finagling with her boss. I think his name was John. So they get the boss's group, Pete. We get the idea that him and Natasha maybe had a little fling back in the day. Steve, the cameraman, who's my favorite. I thought he was a lot of fun. He was very natural for a guy that only was a cameraman. He was so natural. It was pretty astonishing. And I'm like, dude, you need to do more. Hell, do more of these type of movies where you're the cameraman, fine, and you're very natural at this. And then the sound man, nicknamed Tangles. So Natasha, Steve, Tangles, and the boss Pete, they are supposed to go into the tunnel, film, look into what's going on, and go on from there. And of course they do. And slowly but surely the shit hits the fan. Because there's something out there and it's hungry. And I remember when I first saw this, being like, okay, this is like a different setup. And okay, this is refreshing. It's not going to end the same as every fucking found footage movie where everybody dies, which gets old fast, at least for me. So right off the bat, you got my interest. It's a bit different. And then again, when things happen, just let's face it, anytime you watch a movie, someone does something stupid, you think, okay, well, we all do stupid things. It's common nature. It's human nature. But the fact that you're able to get people to explain, this is why I did this, this is why I did this, is what I was thinking. I thought, okay, maybe you don't agree or you do agree, but at least you get a bit of insight into the characters. Like, it's an interesting way where you can't do that in an actual found footage. You can't stop and go, listen, I need to do this because of this. I need to do this because of this. Because that would, here it fit natural with the way it's constructed with the format. And then I was like, wow, the acting in this is actually really good. Because a lot of these found footage, the acting can be rather amateur hour. Did not think that was the case here. I thought everybody was on point, especially Steve. And like, I warmed up to him, and one of the first things he's talking about in the footage, where during the footage he's talking about, oh yeah, we go back, filming the first Gulf War, and oh, send us some money. We're supposed to get these gas masks, and instead we got a bunch of booze. And so when we got there, everyone's like putting their masks on, and like, oh, fuck it. Oh, whatever happens, happens. We already spent the money. Or him and his buddy Tangles are looking at Pete and Natasha and under their breath giving the guy shit. I said, what do you think they're talking about? Well, I think they're talking about producing semen. Because they fucked before. So I thought, like, okay, this guy's actually pretty funny and has like a warm personality. He just had good natural, and like stuff that you're thinking about, like some of these characters were saying, like, okay, this Natasha gets the idea with this YouTube video, and he even goes, since when does a decent journalist use YouTube as research? So they go through the thing where they interview this homeless guy. They ask him some questions. He gets really freaked out, so he obviously saw something very screwy down there. We realize, they don't yet, but we realize Natasha couldn't really get the okay to go down into the tunnels, but she lied to them because if this story went to put, she'd be fired. And yeah, I liked the commentary during it. oh, why are they filming? Steve goes, well, I want to cover all of us, at least me and Tangles. So if we got busted and fined, let them know it wasn't us. It was Natasha. It was her fault. And like I said, the tunnels just really have a nice atmosphere. Kind of like if you watch on YouTube, like there's people that go into these crazy places where it'd be like abandoned hotels or a system in the sewer that's been long abandoned, and they get a lot of views. Some of these videos where they exploring videos, and it's kind of like watching one of those for a bit. Very creepy setting, where it also has these World War II air raid shelters and these little rooms that either had multiple toilets, like stuff left from beyond the sands of time, so to speak. So it does a proper build-up as we get more and more into this environment. And then one thing leads to another. They looked at this bell. Tango's going to record in the other room because it's a bit too loud and echoey in this room. Steve's supposed to be listening to see if everything's okay. And then he's like, what the fuck? And you just see this table rip. And you immediately go, what the fuck? Hey, Tados, are you? Hito's missing, and that's when the shit hits the fan. I thought I went at a good enough pace. It didn't feel too boring. It didn't feel too redundant or repetitive. But yeah, I like the commentary between whether Steve or Natasha, those characters, the talking head portions, gives a bit of influence to what they were feeling and why they were reacting in certain situations. Like Steve is going around searching for his buddy, and he mentions, I panicked. Which is because when you hear their perspective, it makes them, in my opinion, like a bit relatable. Whether you agree or disagree, okay, I can understand your thinking, or okay. So when I'm able to understand why a person's doing certain things, it makes them, I don't know, possibly less annoying or less eye-rolling. Let's say it was an interesting way of doing it. That isn't done a whole lot. And it feels like this was made with a bit of polish. Like I said, it's a good looking film. You have a guy who's a cameraman, so he knows how to get his shots. It's a well acted film. When there's music in it, it's well done. Doesn't feel cheap or amateur. There's not too much yelling and screaming at each other. There's a little bit, but I thought it was there long enough to feel natural to the situation, because one finds out that Natasha, she pretty much screwed them and lied to them, and so he fires back. Pete, the boss, says, "You can't say shit. Okay, you want to be the star of this? You want to know why? Because you're not there. You're not there, Nat. It's fucking pathetic." Which I'm like, yeah, she needed a talking to, because her head was a little bit getting too far up her ass. There's some decent jump scares that I thought didn't feel too cheap. Spoilers. Spoilers for 2011 spoilers. Whether it be this guard finds them, they're ready to head out, and then something just goes by and grabs the guy. Or Pete's ready to climb in, then he just grabbed and pulled back. Or they gotta change the light. They finally get it turn, and then it goes right towards the camera, tackling the two guys pretty much. Fucking football tackle them. And there's some creepy moments. There's a bit where they see a victim in the water with his eyes, I think, have been ripped out. He's trying to cry for help. You see this figure kind of go up and grab him and turn him and slowly turn to a 180. The look of, I don't know if it was a person who's One of the things from The Descent, a creature, a chud. For all I know, it's a chud. Cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller. Whatever the case, it did look a bit digital. I'm sure that's meant to have this otherworldly feel in its movements. But I could tell, like, it's not again, you could tell that there's some finessing in there digitally, so it looks kind of creepy and neat, but I could tell it's not I don't know how I would put it. I could tell. I'll just put it that way. I guess if that's one of my few nitpicks is that. At times the face looked like an alien, honestly. the few bits you see. But I mean, there's creepy moments. There's a bit where they go into a room, there's blood over the walls, and they dropped the camera outside because she had to put it down to help pull this thing, and they went in, they see all the blood. She comes back and goes, wait a minute, my camera moved. So they threw it, and apparently something grabbed and watched them, and then put the camera back down. And when it did, it caught a little bit of the whatever it is. Ultimately, they go into certain rooms. There's one room where they see, like, I think it's like eyeballs. Guess this is snack pack. She gets a tab pulled into the water. They grab her. Pete, I guess, is trying to finesse with it. Give them time to get the hell out of Dodge. They're leaving. They hear him. They come back. They both go to the platform. Pete dies, but the other two live. And I did like Steve, his final stuff. Like, I was pissed. Just pissed off at everyone. Everything. So just so fucking sad because it's pointless. I get what he was saying because maybe I can relate to it because that's kind of how I would feel the same way. That you try to get somewhere and you get nowhere. It's like, then what was the whole point of this? And pretty much what he said would have been the same thing I said. And then you see text that he kept being a cameraman and she left the whole news thing. And the government denied knowledge. And some may say maybe they want like a bigger ending, but I don't really know how you would work it in that. What, the military go in with flamethrowers and it just came kind of to its natural conclusion. You know, whoever survived, survived. It's put together. The evidence is there, whether you believe it or not. And that's why I'm a bit surprised. I mean, maybe this film didn't do that well, or what happened, but I swear there was a sequel planned. I know it has like a 5.8 on IMDb. Yeah, The Tunnel Dead End. Yeah, it was about a sister wanting to search for Tangles because his body was never found. So March 2012, the sequel was announced. Stream Australia provided development funding for the movie. They got funding in 2012 and they disappeared. What the fuck? I'd be curious what the hell happened. I mean, I'm not saying it needs a sequel. I mean, if it dealt with the guy Tangles, who disappeared, I mean, if it's just, I'd be curious. Like, would they do it in the same format as this, where maybe they interviewed Tangles and now that I think about it, the alternate ending in this. The alternate ending, I forgot what it was. Okay, so it is something. The alternate ending of this, Tangles is alive. He's just kind of like that homeless guy that they interviewed where he's all freaked out and stuff. So I just remember that now. Because I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of a different movie. Because it's been forever since I've seen. That's the alternate ending, is that Tangles was found. But he's just not there. He's not Tangles anymore. He's just not there. So that was the alternate. So that, yeah, that was interesting. That just popped in my head. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Nowadays is a bit. It's too late because I mean, it's 2011. It's been that long. The few people that would have been interested, and you know, with sequels or how there's not a whole lot of them, especially found footage sequels are worth the shit. It's like, again, like, would it be done in just a typical found footage where she goes down, then she gets killed? It's like, I don't know about that. But yeah, the movie on itself, I think is a nice gem of a film. I think good acting, production values look really solid. Yeah, someone has the movie on YouTube from Boss Matt, hour and 30 minutes. And then someone has it from Windows X. So yeah, a few people have it up on YouTube. So there you go. Quite a few. Because it was released for free. So that made sense. But I don't think the documentary is on YouTube. I don't think so. The Other Side of Darkness. I don't think that's on YouTube. I'm just double checking, sorry. But it is on not only the Umbrella, but I think on the Vinegar Syndrome as well. Kind of want to go back and rewatch that documentary now, but don't have time right now. Have other requests to get to. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. Thanks once again to Baja Vtuber. It was very pleasant experience to watch this film again. Still held up to this day. It was nice, just a well-constructed mockumentary found footage film for its ilk. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.